A few days ago, the football world was caught off guard when the Las Vegas Raiders decided to release linebacker Germaine Pratt. No trade, no draft pick, no conditions, just a clean break. It raised eyebrows across the league because Pratt was the kind of player who could have easily brought back at least a late-round pick in return. But instead, the Raiders let him walk. The question is why? What's really happening behind the scenes? The answer, as always, with the NFL, lies in timing, chemistry, and the unspoken message behind the moves that followed. Almost immediately after Pratt's release, the Raiders made two surprising roster moves that told us this wasn't just about performance. They signed linebacker Jon Rhattigan to the active roster and brought in Jamin Davis to the practice squad. On the surface, those are small adjustments, but to anyone paying attention, these are strategic, culture-shaping moves that reveal Pete Carroll's plan for rebuilding the Raiders from the inside out. And the more you dig into it, the more it feels like Carroll is slowly remolding this team in his image: fast, disciplined, and fiercely competitive. But before diving deeper into the defensive reshuffling, there was another move that slipped under the radar and said just as much about where this team is headed. To make space on the practice squad, the Raiders released quarterback Jeff Driscoll. Now, at first glance, that seems like nothing. Driscoll isn't a franchise name. He's bounced around the league for years, starting just a handful of games. But that small decision carries weight. It signals that the Raiders aren't planning on benching Geno Smith anytime soon. With Driscoll gone, the only quarterbacks left are Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett, and neither of them is ready to lead a full rebuild. In fact, releasing Driscoll was a subtle but clear vote of confidence in Geno Smith. It tells us that Carroll and the front office aren't looking to blow things up. They're sticking with Geno through the rough stretch, hoping he can regain the composure that made him a reliable veteran presence. Pickett hasn't proven enough to take over yet, and Aidan O'Connell's return is still uncertain. The message is simple. For now, this is Geno's team. Of course, that hasn't stopped the rumor mill. Whispers of a potential quarterback trade have been circulating, the kind of speculation that thrives when a team's record looks shaky. Two names in particular have been thrown around, but both come with more baggage than upside. Russell Wilson's name surfaced again, but after being benched and publicly criticized by his own organization, he doesn't exactly inspire hope. The other rumored option, rookie Shedeur Sanders, might be exciting for fans, but if the Raiders didn't take a chance on him during the draft, it's unlikely they see him as the solution now. The truth is, the Raiders aren't desperate enough yet to make a panic move. They're still trying to steady the ship, and that's where Jamin Davis comes in, the real headline move that could quietly redefine the Raiders' defense. Davis, a former first-round pick from Kentucky, was drafted in 2021 by the Washington Commanders with sky-high expectations. He's still only 26. Young enough to turn his career around but experienced enough to understand what went wrong the first time. Standing 6'3 inches, weighing in at 240 pounds, and running a blazing 4.44 40-yard dash, Davis is an athletic freak. He's built like a linebacker but moves like a safety, the kind of hybrid player Pete Carroll has always loved to develop. In Washington, Davis never fully clicked. Coaching changes and system overhauls threw his development off track. When Dan Quinn came in and shifted to a safety-heavy linebacker system, Davis didn't fit. By mid-season 2024, he was gone cut loose, labeled as another underachieving first. But that's exactly why the Raiders' move is so intriguing. Under Carroll's Cover 3 defensive system, linebackers like Davis thrive. They're not forced into tight schematic roles. They're given freedom to read, react, and attack. It's a defense built for speed, instinct, and controlled chaos, everything Davis brings to the table. On film, you can see flashes of what made him a first-round talent. Plays where he tracks elite offensive players like Jalen Waddle or Bijan Robinson step for step, breaking up passes and closing gaps like a heat-seeking missile. He's not just athletic, he's smart in how he reads developing plays. And when used as a pass rusher, his explosion off the edge is instant, dipping under blocks, collapsing the pocket, and forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. Over his short career, he's generated over 20 pressures, and the tape suggests there's still untapped potential. The Raiders are expected to deploy Davis in a similar role to Germaine Pratt's, but the difference is in how comfortable he is near the line of scrimmage. Davis has the speed to blitz and the discipline to drop into coverage. It's the kind of versatility the Raiders have been missing, especially in a defense that has struggled to contain mobile quarterbacks and dynamic tight ends. Then there's the signing of Jon Rhattigan, a move that screams Pete Carroll's influence. Rhattigan, who played under Carroll in Seattle, might not be a star name, but he's a locker room glue guy. He knows Carroll's system inside and out, understands the discipline it demands, and embodies the kind of leadership and toughness Carroll is trying to instill in this locker room. This isn't about flash, it's about building a foundation. With Davis and Rhattigan, Carroll is laying the groundwork for a defense built on communication, trust, and effort. Now, what really happened with Germaine Pratt? Reports suggest that his release wasn't just about performance. Insiders close to the Raiders say it came down to friction, disagreements with coaches, tension with teammates, and frustration about being played out of position. Pratt, traditionally a stacked linebacker, was being asked to play closer to the line, a role that didn't fit his strengths. Some players see that as adaptability, others see it as being misused. Either way, Pratt wasn't happy. And when a player's attitude starts clashing with a new coaching philosophy, something has to give. The Raiders chose to cut ties, favoring players who want to buy into Carroll's vision rather than challenge it. Meanwhile, Pratt was quickly picked up by the Colts, proving he still has value in the league. But for the Raiders, this was more than a personnel move, it was a statement. They're prioritizing culture over convenience, unity over ego. Carroll has seen what dysfunction can do to a team, and he's not letting that story repeat itself in Las Vegas. On the offensive side, the spotlight inevitably swings back to Geno Smith. He's taken plenty of heat for the team's slow start, but context matters. 6 of his 9 interceptions this season have been tipped balls, the kind of bad luck plays that make stats lie. Geno's not perfect, but he's also not getting much help. Injuries have gutted his supporting cast. Brock Bowers, one of his most reliable weapons, has battled injuries since week 1. The only game he was fully healthy, he put up over 100 yards. Michael Mayer just cleared concussion protocol, and his return could change everything for the offense. When you look back at Geno's success in Seattle, he had reliable receivers, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, guys who could win jump balls and make contested catches. In Vegas, he's throwing to Dante Thornton, Jacoby Myers, and Trey Tucker. Talented players, yes, but inconsistent. Too many dropped passes, too many missed opportunities. With Bowers and Mayer finally healthy, Geno will have a chance to show what he can do when surrounded by reliable weapons again. So, as the Raiders prepare for their next matchup against the Titans, this week feels like a turning point. It's a winnable game, one that could shift momentum and silence a lot of critics. Pete Carroll isn't a coach who gives up eyes. These roster moves, subtle as they may seem, are building blocks for the future: faster linebackers, healthier tight ends, and a quarterback still fighting to prove he belongs. The story of this Raiders season isn't finished yet. The foundation is being rebuilt piece by piece. And if the Raiders can find their rhythm now, against the Titans, then the Chiefs' things could look very different, very quickly. So what do you think, Raider Nation? Was cutting Germaine Pratt the right move, or did the team just lose a valuable veteran too soon? Do you still believe Geno Smith can turn things around this season? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because the story of Pete Carroll's Raiders is just getting started.